I want to talk a little bit about my experience with pornography. I want to talk a little bit about the evolution of pornography as I understood it as someone growing up in the 80s and 90s. It is a little bit embarrassing for me to talk about this.
So why are we talking about it?
Because I believe because I believe it has the potential to help a parent or
So
someone
this
with a
is
young
for
child.
the parent.
In fact,
So disclaimer.
I want to keep the conversation clean enough that if a parent is looking at this with maybe a 11 or 12-year-old child, maybe a boy child.
So PG-11.
So PG-11. There are a lot of things maybe parents take for granted. There are a lot of things that maybe we assume our children are not involved in. There are a lot of things given our, children may just be a couple steps ahead of us in terms of technology, and they could hoodwink you. I think about, let's say for instance, my own parents and their experience with computers and the internet. We probably got our first computer somewhere in 2000. And naturally, I was the one that gravitated towards it. It was a dial-up connection. I had a computer in the room. Let me hear the noise.
No.
And everybody have a TSTT password and you hope your partner would share the account with you. Yeah. So I was a couple steps ahead of them in that regard. And I guess I was able to hoodwink them. And then you add another dimension onto it now where you have mobile phones and smartphones coming into play.
I think that's just every generation.
That's
That's not new to you, to your generation and to your family. That's every generation. You feel back in caveman days, he didn't discover certain things was fire and run through and showing everybody fire.
You could imagine the droids on the wall.
Or maybe the man who discovered graphite, he probably pick up graphite and drawing all over and is like, how he using a stone so quick? Children, naturally, because of the care and whatever their parents give them, they naturally have that ability and one up on them because they always in touch with the new, more modern thing, and they always want to go the step further to see what this could do. So they probably made fire, but there's probably a child who burn a marijuana leaf or something, and they discover, hey, that's smelling good, boy. Yeah. I don't know. Is it too loud?
It is kind of messing with the recording a bit, but I understand the need to.
Is it loud?
For it to become cool. No, that's better.
It's fine.
No, I think what was happening, it was kind of vibrating close to the.
Oh, okay.
To the desk.
Do we need to start over?
No, we don't need to. So when I think about the timeline, my earliest experience with pornography was straight out of Standard 5.
So young.
Yeah, I had this.
Out of Standard 5, like your root SEL,
yeah,
common entrance already.
Road common entrance.
And you had nothing to do.
Yeah, and you're hanging out. You're hanging out with partners. You're visiting different friends, and I had this really good friend. And discovered by this friend, a stack of VHS tapes. That's how far, VHS before you had DVD. If you have parents and you're familiar with VHS, you could tell your child what a VHS tape is. So that's where I had movies recorded on. And it was a very, as far as I know, it was a very innocent discovery in that you go looking for movies. And there's the TV, there's the rack with the 6 VHS.
But it had the wrong movie inside.
Immediately behind the TV is like, all right, I stack about 6 or 12 other movies.
Okay.
It might have been as much as 18 movies. Just stacked up and you put it in and it's like...
I wonder if it was the mother or the father one.
Well, who knows? So
I have a question.
There's the assumption.
Just like nostalgic and whatever. Or they ever use a file, like a cutlass file or a knife file, to rewind your cassettes because your VHR, what does VHS couldn't rewind or fast forward?
Never hear about that.
So how are these through? Are they one used to work properly?
You had a VHS player at home?
Yeah, we had one. My cousin had one too, but you couldn't fast forward. I think it used to unravel. It used to unravel inside. So if you accidentally fast forward, it would unravel.
Oh, there was a certain rewinder that they had.
So you could use that, or for the people who didn't have the rewinder, you stick a file, the 3-prong file, the prison one. You stick that in the cassette reel, and you swing it around like this. So we used to spend like a good 10 minutes rewinding the movie. We are watching what all your friend parents was watching,
Right.
but we watched like regular movies. And then we used to use the pencil for the cassettes, the smaller cassettes, audio cassettes. Yeah, that was just nostalgic that I wanted to find
Yeah.
out if you used to use the file.
No. But I think they had like a rewinder shaped like a car. And you just put the cassette into it and
They
it
had that in the
rewinds it.
video store. In the video, what's called that place again? I can't remember the name. Go ahead.
You know,
Video club?
and where you would video club.
That's the name of it?
Yeah, a video club, yeah. where you would go now to kind of watch a movie, whether it's Mortal Kombat 1 or Mortal Kombat, whatever it was.
2,
Street Fight.
3, 4.
Ninja Turtles 1. So that's like kind of like the time
Star
frame that I'm
Wars.
talking about there, right? But then I started to look forward more. I started to look forward more to the
So is it-
VHS tapes that were behind the TV.
So when are they still watch this? The parents went home.
No, yeah, they just go there till I remember, come
They were
entrance,
working?
finish, and they go to work.
So are they just home only watching
Yeah. And
X-rated movies? Okay.
And I mean, that's the kind of, I'm messing with the timeline here a little bit to fast forward. So it's like a bunch of different partners that you would have, right? From primary school, swimming lessons, different things that you go to. You still were restricted in terms of your access to pornography.
Yeah.
Because you probably had that one partner who father or who
Have
mother.
those 18
this-
videos
this
and
was
beyond that.
VHS, right? And back then they used to do something too, I don't know how, but like they used to stretch the VHS tape in some way that instead of like a 2-hour movie, it'll be able to fit a 6-hour movie. So when you're lucky, you strike a VHS tape that probably have like 6 hours of pornography on it.
I was very much into this.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's you just fast forward.
Oh, you
But I
stretch
mean,
the
the thing that I want to stand out here is the access in terms of the limited access point compared to now where everybody probably just have a smartphone. You
And have
look at
access to
things in
it.
the privacy. You know, or if you go and visit your partner and the mother and father home, it's like, oh shucks, they home today. You know, you're restricted. You're restricted by where you could take in. When I look back on that experience now, I realize that it was unfortunate that it happened.
You feel like your maturity was forced or stunted because of it?
I think maybe it have ways that it would affect somebody psychologically that I can't comprehend, that I haven't done maybe sufficient research into to be able to comprehend.
Right.
And when you read different news articles of
Exposure to this at a young age.
yeah, and sexual offenses that may even be taking place by the teenagers,
Children,
young
on children,
teenagers.
yeah. They show a lot of those situations on like SVU and all of these police shows and lawyer shows. You don't realize how rampant it actually is.
In terms of the number of crimes or the number of crimes because of the access to
The number of crimes happening and probably because of how easily accessible it is if you don't have the right parental controls or the dialogue existing between you and your children about certain things that you're not just kind of glossing over and you're not just leaving it, oh, let the school deal with that. No, you should really have some sort of input into what your children learn. As I was saying about the curse words, you're not going to teach them, well, A is for so-and-so, B is for so-and-so. No, but if they do happen to hear it, you want them to be comfortable enough to come and ask you about it so that you could hopefully guide them in the right direction. I don't know. Well, I guess I know hearing about you, but I don't think I even knew about what that was until I was in high school, like at least mid-high school. I was like, what are they talking about? I was like, they have those kind of movies.
and this, if you don't mind me asking, this would have been like the internet era where people accessing it, or is still in a traditional kind of VHS, DVD movies?
Can't say I've never seen.
No, I don't mean that
No.
you've seen it. What they were talking
No,
about.
no. That's what I'm saying. I have never seen a nap scale. I'm talking about naps because it's high school. I've never seen a nap scale look at pornography on the naps premises or off. That I feel like that just wasn't a priority. I feel like we were more concerned with Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake and who was dating and who wasn't dating and Christina. You were more obsessed with like the things happening, and I guess there was the individual or the groups that may have been quote unquote like boy crazy Stacy, the book, might be into the boys, but not to say that they were active outright talking about these things like playing. It was never, it was everything was so like hush hush, or maybe I was in the wrong group. We were in the
Maybe you were in the right group.
we were real. I tell you, our idea of fun was like having a lip sync battle and a fashion show on the weekend, on the lunch times, and spending our lunchtime singing songs, looking at the showtime to get the lyrics. So we used to use the internet to go and find lyrics to songs, print them out and stick them in your lyrics book.
You know, I'm so glad you bring up Showtime.
Oh, the centerfolds.
Because I'm thinking also about the another newspaper that it had.
Mirror?
The Sunday Punch.
Punch, right.
And that would have been like another level of exposure. Again, I could think about going with a partner and you're buying the Showtime and you're buying the Sunday Punch, and the idea is that you're slipping your Sunday Punch between your Showtime.
But Showtime was already kind of sketch.
Yeah. And the Sunday Punch, I mean, it was, I don't know if they still make it, but my recollection of it is that you're looking at it, flipping through, hoping that, you know, you'll see something a little bit.
They forget to edit something.
Yeah, you'll see something a little bit exciting. And I remember one time I took home a Sunday Punch. You know, sneak it inside through the Showtime or whatever. And Lasana taught me that he wasn't aware. This is my brother talking about it. He teach me a real cool hiding spot. You know, it's like where you have your cupboard and you have your 3 drawers.
You pull out the drawers.
Last drawer. You pull out the last drawer all the way out and you slip your magazine or
but
your
then the drawer
paper.
wouldn't close properly.
No, it's flat. It's a fold.
Oh, you mean at the bottom?
Yeah, because there's a recess below the drawer.
Ah, okay.
And then... So that was
now you're teaching people a hiding spot.
Yeah, no, and this is, listen, I am speaking about all these things so that you have a sense.
Go and search your children.
Was taking place. And, you know, I've just taught you a wonderful hiding spot. I recommend that if you have children, particularly teenage boys, that you go and pull out that last drawer now and take a look at it. And one time I forgot a Sunday Punch under the bed. Probably after looking at it, I was a little bit too tired. And at some point in time, Mommy came to... No, it was Daddy. Daddy came to make up the bed or something, and he just ended up under the bed. Maybe he was doing a routine search.
He ended up under the bed.
Maybe he was doing a routine search. Maybe he was looking for reading material. I don't know.
I wonder what's up today. So all he was using the friend parents videos, and he using his son papers.
No. This is all in kicks we have in here. This part.
This part.
So, you know, he was discreet about it. He paid back and he mentioned to Mommy, hey, you know, I found this, but, you know, please don't let Lyndon know. We just kind of keep this a father and son thing, right?
I thought you would at least take it.
Yeah, no, he didn't take it.
I would have taken it and then wait for you to come and ask me for it.
So anyway, Mommy couldn't suppress the desire to say something about
the knee-jerk reaction.
So I passed her in the corridor and she's like, hey, I like to drink peanut punch, boy. I was like, what, drink peanut punch? And I just couldn't make sense of the joke that she was trying to make. But long story short, she discovered that she knew. And
the question is how long it take you to figure out was she still in here? Like a week?
Probably.
So I have to tell you.
And I'll share another story with you. This all has to do with the limited access that we had, and it was just kind of a control. It was a controlled environment because people were, as Kimberly was saying, you know, you always had these things. You always had children one step ahead, and from the time man could have draw and discover how to print something, you would have had pornographic material, right? Mm-hmm. I sure they had pornographic even comics back in the days.
How you do a typewriter porn?
So I had this partner and all.
That's the bastard.
He said to my time, he said, and I was probably in secondary school by now. But he says to me, he said, hey boy, you know, I have this real cool I buy this book. I went into Port of Spain. Again, look at the access that you have, right? You had to go and purchase a magazine.
People spending real
Right.
money on these things.
You don't need to go and purchase a magazine. In fact,
money.
I gave Kimberly a joke today where I said, hey, I searched for Trinidad
That was funny.
school pornography because I was hoping, when I searched for it, I was hoping to find newspaper articles in the Trinidad Express,
Right.
the Trinidad Guardian and Loop
Right.
that outlines the state of the pornographic,
Yeah,
In
those
secondary
keywords
schools.
would give you that.
and all the I should have narrowed it down to like news domains, right?
I don't think that would have helped.
All the results that came up were actual instances of pornographic links, and this is on a Google search. This is not any kind of dark web secret website that I need to go and
Your
search
safe
on.
search is off. You have to put safe search on.
No, I'll enable it for my children, but leave it off for me. So this guy says he has this real cool magazine that he got and is, come and take a look at it sometime, right? So I go check him or whatever and remind him, yeah, hey, what about the magazine that you have for him? He's like, hey, we have to wait until dark to get this magazine. I was like, wow, wait until dark? What are you talking about, Dred? When it is dark, my boy proceeds
Does it glow?
to exit his house and cross the road where there's bushes and searches through the bushes for about like 5 or 10 minutes. And I was like, what is man looking for? And returns with a plastic bag. And inside of the plastic bag, rolled up, is a Playboy magazine. Again, focus on
How old is this person?
we were teenagers, probably like, I would say 14, 15 years by then.
You were born in Spain and buy a Playboy.
He went Port of Spain, buy a Playboy, bring it home, but
And put it in the
given
bush.
he don't have drawers at home to pull out the last drawer and hide it.
These are jockey shorts.
He don't have that type of cupboard. So he has to hide it over the road.
In the bush.
In the bush.
But in a plastic bag
In a
for
plastic
protection.
bag. I believe it was
At
two
least he
plastic
knew about
bags.
protection.
He knew about protection. That's a really good joke. It evolved where
Can you pass the timbre
the internet came
Please.
on the scene.
Thank you.
Your dial-up connection, which I mentioned, and before we even had a computer at home, I could think about you go by partners, and you realize in that moment how easy it is to access pornography. No, this dial-up. So this is back then.
It took
Pictures.
a while.
It took a while.
It took a while.
It took a while. We didn't even start to talk about downloading videos.
Kaza.
Yeah, LimeWire and these type of things back then, right? You started going home, the
Paula,
access
you're sour.
became a little bit easier where you now could check a partner, he might print out something. And you have printout. So you start making your own magazines now, so to say. And then you get your own computer, but you don't necessarily have the internet, so you're exchanging porn on a floppy disk.
Floppy disk. So why you can fit 2 pictures on it?
Yeah. You could, if you're lucky, you could get about 5.
If you compress them.
So, yeah, I know about compressing images. It's just kind of curious
Floppy disk.
how,
You mean the save button?
how this thing evolved. Like, even before, I believe in secondary school, you mentioned like not being taken up with that. But
I didn't know what it was.
And to some extent, even though I mentioned some of the content there, like magazines and that access to it was it. Like this always had. You went to a guild school, so you might know about this. But it just always had that one dude
Kinda
back in
happy.
the day. You had that one dude back in the day that could just. He's just the supplier. He's the supplier. We got called the supplier John, right? And we call the supplier John. It does always have that John around that, that is the man that could hook you up with the magazine. So it does always have that one partner that inclined in that certain way. And yeah, I was able to go home with a magazine back then. And
From Sunday Punch to Playboy.
yeah, so you just keep, graduating and graduating from school in porn. But psychologically, I often wonder, what is the damage that has been done to me? Maybe there might be things that I know aware about. Maybe there are certain thought processes, because I would say, looking back on the experience, as I told you, it was just too much at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do feel like a kind of sense of panic because I went into the field of computing, I have a little bit more sense of, kind of searching, hiding things on the computer, how easy it is. Simple things like knowing shortcut keys. A parent might think you're in class doing, you alt and tab on your keyboard. You could close windows quickly.
And now it's incognito mode.
Incognito mode, so your browsing history not being saved. And all these are things that you really need to be aware of. You have your mobile devices that just, that 15 or 16-year-old boy just closed up in his room with his phone and the distraction that it presents. Listen, these are, Kimberly and I were talking about tools and how it could make your life easier and you could use it irresponsibly. And I wonder, I don't know if anything could be done about it. But I feel like a sense of responsibility, maybe given the conversations that we have. That is something, if you are, as a parent, glazing over it and taking it for granted, that is not happening in the background. And, he's a responsible dude. She's a responsible girl at 14, 15 years old. They could handle their stories. I think without me going any further, you just have to ask yourself if you are involved enough.
And use the things that they have out there. As I said, safe search. That's a good thing. I mean, people using computers now is probably far less occurrence than it was a couple of years back, maybe a decade back. Do children still use computers for school projects and stuff? They mostly just use their tab or phone or something, right?
I would imagine a lot of it is off of your tablet, your phone.
I can't see people really using a typewriter and a computer with that. They do have options where you could control certain things of your child's account. Of course, nothing is stopping them from creating a fake account or another dupe account, a secret account, so to speak, and doing whatever they want incognito.
Yeah.
But there's different things you could do. You monitor their usage, their time. You also don't want to hover, because hovering is like, why are you hovering so much? What you don't want me to find? And it's like, when you don't know what you don't know, you want to find out what it is. So keep that line of communication open. Be willing to answer questions they might have, and without judgment, without making them feel bad, without making them feel good. Just like a neutral, comfortable, approachable, but realistic response. I would say, based on my experience, I think going to a girls' school gave me a good foundation to kind of mature my brain, my thinking, before I was exposed to these things exist. What are they talking about? Like, I didn't remember we talking about divorce. I was like, people just really get divorced? That's a normal thing. I didn't know that it was such a prevalent thing happening in society until I was a lot older. We were just real sheltered. I don't know if it's because they didn't tell us what was going on. We didn't really watch the news too much, or we just didn't want to know, maybe. But I feel grateful that I went to a girls' school and our priorities were different. And and I didn't mean to make it sound bad, but I feel like when I started going to lessons and I started having friends who are boys, it was around the time I met you as well. So I started, boys have a very blunt way of saying certain things. And then you learn double entendre jokes. And those were my favorite. And I didn't even know I was making them. So I would make a joke and then they would be laughing. Like, it wasn't that funny. And then somebody would explain to me, oh, wait, you mean so and so? I was like, oh, I didn't mean that. And, But then you start making the same kind of jokes. But again, still, you weren't really as you were speaking about it, like how intimate you were knowing these certain things. I didn't have the access to it, I would say. Because we had one computer home that I probably only got to use when everybody was sleeping. Like, I'll go and what we used to do, MSN, talking to your friend, what song you download? You have that song, send it to me, and you put it as your status, currently listening to so-and-so.
yeah.
Or ICQ. You just had to trust. And Trust that you're giving them a good foundation, and you try to keep them away from it. You try, but they will.
If you want
you
to
can't.
be, if you want to be
You
a
can't
little
forever.
bit, if you want to be a little bit hardcore in terms of your management of it, there's certain software that you could look at, like content filtering or content filters, which allows you at the network level to filter
Yeah.
out certain types of traffic.
Through your router, right?
And
then you have your passwords.
through your router.
Yeah.
So you could, of course, where it limits you is that if the adults in the house are searching for certain type of content, then you wouldn't be able to find it. But
Is that why you never installed any?
Yes. But based on the type of results that you know, the type of router you have, you could configure it and have different privileges for whereas, you know, the grown-ups.
Yeah, I think there's passwords too, and their password. So cable was something that I didn't know cable had channels like that. And one day, I think I was home. I would have been in UE or something. And one of these channels, and you start hearing these sounds. I was like, what is this going on here?
Yeah, it you know, is amazing
Mommy's
the
like,
gradual evolution.
Mommy didn't know.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing? Like it just went from this kind of global access.
So your TV is not safe
to just
either.
narrow. I remember you remember USA Up All Night, or that was before your time?
No, I
That's when
know
TV
what.
lock off on USA Up All Night, and you just did
Adult
watch.
Swim, Cartoon Network had some raunchy cartoons too. I was like, what nonsense is this? Now you could watch a show that starts probably at 9 o'clock in the night, and you're seeing some things that they probably didn't show until after dark, as you're talking about. I think the tolerance for it is definitely, was that going up or going down? The tolerance went up because they showing things that Mom used to make us block our eyes when Young and Restless, when Victor kissed Nikki.
You talk about, I remember our uncle, I was
Block your eye, cover your eyes.
friends going
Cover
on.
your eyes.
Friends going on, and two friends kiss or something.
Raunchy.
And that man get up and turn off the TV, boy.
I tell you, this to make you cover your eyes. So when you see something, so let's pretend the movie going on, and they kiss. This is Mommy, and this is me. It done yet? It's like, what are you watching? Go and sleep. It could be a real good movie, and she'd be like, go and sleep. I was like, no, come on, I probably don't have any more. Even up to now. And you experience that with Mommy when we watching a show. If anything comes up, she's fast forward and nonsense.
Like, Mama, you wasted the best part of the movie there. There's a positive note end on. But look into content filtering, talk to your children, as Kimberly was saying, and
that's your last resort. Talk to children.
Talk to the children. Pull out the last drawer and take a look at it. Check the drawers too.
And check the punch. Don't let them drink the punch.
They drink the peanut punch. Take care.
The tamarind bowl was sour.